One of the proudest moments of my life was when I saw my 4-year-old daughter split a cookie down the middle and give half of it to her baby brother. Her mom asked why she did that, and she said, I had a whole cookie, and Glennie didn't have any. Perfection. This turned into a family tradition. If I gave either of the kids half of my cookie or half of anything, he or she would cut it in half and give a quarter of it to the next nearest person, or back to me. Sometimes the whole family would end up laughing our heads off as we divided our treats into ever smaller pieces, until somebody was trying to bite a crumb in half. The silly fun we had sharing was way better than hoarding a whole portion. One of humanity's loveliest traits is that we think of the needs of others. With family and friends, I've always lived like a collectivist. If I come into a bit of money that I don't need when a friend is struggling, my first impulse is to share a little bit. The pleasure that gives me is greater than I could get by spending a little more money on myself. All of my closest friends do the same. And in small, close-knit groups, that's the natural way. We're delighted when our children begin to automatically share both resources and burdens. When we see them looking out for others, we know that we've done well as parents. But something happens when we send our kind, thoughtful kids off to college. As often as not, they return as angry socialists. They want to tear down the system of free enterprise that has afforded them every comfort, including their brand new education, to be replaced by some vaguely imagined socialist utopia. What happened is that somebody, a whole lot of somebodies, took our kids' well-nurtured sense of fairness and weaponized it. They found the vacant mental spaces that are supposed to be filled gradually by life experiences and jammed those databanks full of Marxist mythology. Our children become convinced that every rich person is simply refusing to share the cookie. And not only that, but that he stole that cookie to begin with. Do we expect our kids to doubt their cool professors? Why did we send them to college if we didn't expect them to learn from their teachers? Never mind that most of these teachers have never actually functioned outside the academy. They live by theories, and they work in a world where questioning these theories will stall their careers. Yes, it's come to that. College professors are now afraid not to affirm a leftist agenda. Never mind that Marxist ideology has killed 100 million people in the last 100 years. That inconvenient truth is not discussed much. A 19-year-old is as short of historical perspective as he is of life experience. But even worse, he's not even in possession of a fully organized brain. Until age 25 or so, he is logically impaired. An adult thinks with his rational mind, his prefrontal cortex. A teen thinks mainly with his emotional mind. These leftist professors hijack your kid's amygdala and make sure it's agitated. And a semi-hysteric activist comes home for the holidays. This is the perfect situation for postmodernists trying to program your child. And of course, young people desperately need the acceptance of a peer group, especially if they are far from home. So most of the change you see is really conformity. They're imitating their new friends. Still, socialist ideas do resonate with young people. Socialism is only a slightly more complicated version of childhood. They've only ever known a world where resources come from central government, mom and dad, to be shared equitably between the sibling citizens. Childhood rules were as much about love as responsibility. And at home, the crying person usually got the most attention. Ever wonder why leftists never let up on the victim stuff? So, how do you get past the radical group thinking and still an understanding of how only free market economics has ever really improved the lives of the poor? How can you convince them that capitalism, despite its excesses, is the best system for encouraging both hard work and creative, smart work? I'd start with the tried and true parables. Go with give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish. Explain how dependency is actually vulnerability and how self-reliance is a reliable source of personal power. Whatever you do, don't fight with your kids over this issue. They've been taught to challenge authority. Don't be authority. Be as neutral as you can be. Challenge them gently. Say, let's explore these ideas. Maybe walk them through stories from their own lives. Remind them how they felt when a kid cheated off their paper and got an unearned grade. Or how good it felt when they worked their butts off on a project and aced it. Remember, your kids are emotional creatures at this age. Appeal to their feelings. If they insist that capitalism is making the poor poorer, show them a few videos by statistician Hans Rosling. He has several very entertaining TED Talks that cover this topic. Once again, do not fight with them. You could lose them forever. And if your kids have not yet gone to college, don't send them right away. And don't send them backpacking in Europe either. Riding trains with beautiful Swedes while receiving checks from home is not setting them in the best direction. Let them spend their gap year working. Preferably, and I owe this idea to Dennis Prager, working for tips. This is a crash course in the unbreakable link between effort and reward, and just as important, the connection between attitude and reward. They will not fall so easily for Marx's claptrap after they've worked a few dozen lousy shifts for those slackers they work with. And while they are in the working world, have some conversations with them about how business works. Remind them that the rich pay for almost all of the giveaway programs that the demos promise. The government has no money of its own. That without big profit-based businesses, we live in a world without cars and cell phones and game consoles. So I wish you well. Remember that the kid lecturing you over the pot roast is still the person you taught him or her to be, and that life's hard lessons will soon enough displace all the nonsense he or she picked up at the university. In time, they will come back to earth. Be there when they do. Feel free to tell us your stories in the comments section, and share this video with anybody you think it might help.
Thanks for watching. Please consider becoming a supporting member of Blue Collar Logic. Look for the link in the comments section and give what you can.